taking a step back, I think we've seen the consumer, changing so much, expecting LLM to be something they can use on a daily basis. Obviously, some use ChatGPT, some use Gemini. ChatGPT has no ads, Gemini has ads. So we've seen two different types of consumer LLM kind of experiences. But then there's the rest of the world, the open web, publishers we love and trust, OEMs, apps, everything outside of the walled gardens. And I would say OpenAI is the new or a new walled garden. So we launched Deeper Dive, which is a company I would start if I weren't at Taboola, because there's such a need, in my opinion, for this interface to exist everywhere. If you go back in time, when Google.com became a big deal, the next thing that happened was site search, because consumers, when they visited websites, they expected to be able to search. So, and I believe that over the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years, LLM is going to be Web 2.0 type of thing. It's going to be the way consumers interact with journalism, local, national, and all those beautiful brands they love to visit. So Deeper Dive is there to be the first free LLM for publishers to enable that experience with advertising that are relevant for the query and the consumer to create a new revenue stream. So in a world where search traffic will go down, I think it's less impactful to the big publishers because they have a lot of direct traffic, and I'm a bit more concerned about the long tail. Still, you have to ask yourself, all those millions of people that go to those websites they love, how are they going to have this experience? And Deeper Dive is there to offer that. We're very excited. We launched it with USA Today here in the US and The Independent outside of the US. And since then, we've had many publishers launching it. So you should stay tuned for more great names. And we're seeing great results.
So Adam, CTV is increasingly being viewed as a performance channel, not just about awareness. So what are you working on there to kind of maybe bridge those gaps?
Yeah, I think it's a big theme here also at CES. I mean, just the value and desire for marketers and agencies and platforms to justify spend from the get-go. There is no more real, space for marketers or platforms to kind of have this top of the funnel hope strategy. They're going to put money and see what happens. Those days are slowly going away if they're not already gone. And we're seeing it. I think Amazon has done such a good job with Prime, saying, look, if you put an ad on Prime, big screen, we will show you that it's not only great to generate that impact at the top of the funnel, it's also going to go down funnel as we connect it to Amazon.com, and we show you that we can, drive that conversions and show you outcome, which is amazing. And now what we're seeing is the rest of the broadcasters are saying, we should be able to show that value too. So we're so honored and excited to have first launched it with Paramount. So if you now go as an advertiser and you launch a campaign on TV, there's a performance option that allows you to say, I want to show my ad on TV, but I also want to get mid to low funnel metrics and conversions. So that campaign, if you're seeing Yellowstone and you're seeing a pizza oven ad, 30-second ad, and you're like, interesting. And then later that day or later that week, you visit any one of the websites you love, Yahoo, NBC, ESPN, McClatchy, Nexstar, any one of those amazing publishers, you may see a relevant ad to that pizza oven ad you saw on TV. But more importantly, people like you. So this audience extension, expansion, also may see a pizza oven ad. So now the advertiser is getting lower acquisition costs and measurement and outcomes they expect when they usually work with a Meta or a Google. Now they get it from TV. We announced it with LG in Q4 of last year. That's great. That's the first global kind of TV integration we've done. LG is a global company. I think it's 250 million devices around the world. And here at CES, I can tell you a lot of my meetings are with different retail media, TV type companies that say, we have special data. Can we build this retail media audience extension performance engine with you as we enter 2026? So stay tuned. BTV was always big on television type initiatives, so I'm excited.
a lot to be excited about, Adam. And like looking more towards the evolution of performance when it comes to established media companies, established publishers. So you work with a lot of large ones. There's always been the sense that they've been associated with more brand plays as opposed to performance. But wanted to get a sense, what advantages do these established media companies, publishers have that maybe hasn't been noticed by advertisers?
The biggest advantage the open web has and trusted publishers have as relates to advertiser need is what I call authenticity graph. When you buy from Google, you're buying the bottom of the funnel. I'm searching for something. It's probably too late. I'm about to decide. It's a very expensive moment to buy. You can buy it and it works beautifully, but it's the end of that journey. I'm about to make a decision. That's search. Very good. Then you have social, which is, you're buying my social demographic, kind of, people I follow, things I like, maybe my desire self, who I wish I were, not necessarily who I am. But then there's open web, which is a lot of times things I'm truly curious about, and when you care about something, you read about it. And, to the extreme, healthcare. When there's something that I'm concerned about, I will read about it a lot. Travel. When I book this trip for my family, I better do some research. I mean, God help me if I go based on a ChatGPT question to a destination and I discover how is that when I arrive, my wife may not like it. So you need to do research and spend time, getting educated. And that's what's great about the open web. It's your true self as you on your mobile or your desktop read about things you really care about because you're about to make a decision that matters. And that's where advertisers can reach you when you're doing that education process, travel, commerce, healthcare, automobile. Those decisions that are big decisions always come with some open web moment of that journey, and that's where advertisers reach you. So I think it's very, very unique signal, especially in the world of AI and robots and madness and craziness. Wow, to have a true 30 minutes of readership on a journalistic environment written by a human being, that will be so, it's going to be organic food over time, We're going to look for that pureness. And I think for advertisers, that's great because they want to be there when you're considering things. So it's a mid-funnel, consideration stage that is valuable it's the middle. It's not brand, it's not bottom, it's that middle that you're thinking about something and I can help you progress towards making a decision.
So Adam, we started off talking about the impact that search AI has had on publishers, particularly established publishers. They don't know whether to have a deal or sue the Gen AI companies. As those pressures mount, how should publishers think about content licensing, protecting their IP?
Yeah, look, if you have to imagine how that landscape look over time, and then based on that, you can imagine what decisions are going to be made. OpenAI is too big to really sue for most people, and they have paid some. They're not going to pay a lot, but I can imagine we'll see some deals of that kind. I can't imagine thousands of deals. OpenAI is funding the open web. I think that's unlikely to happen. Gemini is going to be advertising based, and so they'll share traffic like they do now with search. I believe Gemini is the best thing that happened to Google search. It's a very powerful new advertising business for Google, and I see it from Deeper Dive on Taboola. That moment when someone is typing a question and getting results and an ad is a superhuman moment, and I think Gemini will be a very good thing for Google and a very good thing for publishers. So, and then you have the in-between, Perplexity and all these guys. Those, easier to sue. Maybe we should sue them. They're too small to matter. They're taking our content. They're not paying us. Perplexity announces they'll share $45 million in revenue with thousands of publishers they're stealing content with. I don't know if that's enough money. That's like falafel money. You can't share $45 million with thousands of publishers. It's not enough to matter. So those, I don't know what's going to happen with them. I encourage them to stop stealing content. If you're listening to this, stop stealing. It's not. You can only be evil for a little bit of time. You can't be evil forever. So stop doing that, and try to see what you can do to be helpful and supportive to the open web, if you even can. I'm not sure. So I personally don't think that licensing deals will be something publishers can rely on as a business model. If it happens, great, take the money. But more realistically, I think you should negotiate internally a new world in which you own that experience with consumers. When someone comes to your site, offer them an amazing experience, tap into this future LLM journey. There's a lot of revenue to be made, in my belief. Embrace AI, embrace LLM, take some risks. And I think that's the biggest thing that's about to happen in this new version of Web 2.0, LLM new interface. And try deeper dive if you can.